Yes. Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity that we have to serve our Cherokee citizens. We ask for your guidance and that you lead us in good thoughts and actions in our words today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yes, sir. Rex Jordan. E.O. Smith. Here. Keith Austin.
Here.
Danny Callison. Here. Julia Coates. Sean Crittenden. Here. Joe Deere. Aye. Mike Dobbins. Here. Johnny Kidwell. Here. Daryl Legg. Here. Wes Snowfire. Dora Petzkowski. Here. Joshua Sam. Here. Mike Shambaugh. Here. Melvina Shotpouch. Aye. Condessa Teehee. Aye. Victoria Vasquez. Aye. We have a quorum.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Reports, Management Resources, Mr. David Moore.
Good afternoon. Good to see everybody in person again. And I know y'all have our report. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them, but I'd also like to point out that we have a group of men and women here that usually when everybody's at home, they're here shoveling snow, ice, and getting it done. Most people don't see them, but I'd just like to, thank them for their hard work, trying to keep the doors open for their services so that, because we don't know we're going to be closed 1 day, 2 days, whatever, but they show up and get it done. So I just kind of wanted to point that out and tell them thank you. And I know in the past you guys have said your thanks to them and administration has, but I'd just like to say it again.
Anybody have any questions for David? Joe?
How's that tag office, Catoosa?
Where they're at now, or the building?
Where they're at now? No, the one they're building.
We're
What phase are they in on
pretty
that?
good. We're trying to get the outside done. The mud and stuff, the water line, all that stuff's been kind of hard, but it's coming along. Inside's being, a lot of the mechanical is being done, so we're getting close. I think it'll be, let's see, when was that? End of April, I think was where we're at.
This
right
completion
now.
date?
I think so. I'll have to verify, because every day something different we can't get. And you know how that is in construction. I mean, one day you can get doors, and the next day you can get the doors, and you can't get the hardware. So
Yeah.
it's just real tough to nail down a schedule right now, perfectly. So
Is all that gonna be parking lot all the way to the south end?
a lot of it is, not all of it. I mean, it's going to have a lot of green space too.
Okay.
It's going to be quite a bit,
And are we gonna put any kind of welcome thing there?
not to my knowledge.
Okay, so the gift shop thing will be done?
I
That they
don't
had
know.
at the other one?
I don't know what they're doing with the gift shop.
Okay.
There at the Welcome Center. I don't know where they moved that, if it's there.
That's
at
why I
the
didn't know
Hard
if they're
Rock.
gonna keep that there.
Not with the tag office.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I didn't know if you're gonna make a smaller one over there.
No, CMB may have an ideal too, but not Cherokee Nation. We're not.
Okay, so the end of April, that'd be good.
That's the plan right now, but like I said, the water line's been pushed back because of the weather, so it may be a little longer.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Dave. You guys are doing a great job anyway.
Thank you.
Odessa?
I don't have a question so much as just a comment. I had an issue that was brought forward to me by a citizen in District 2, and I shared that with you guys, and you guys got it mitigated same day. I just am so appreciative of the work that you and your staff do, especially in inclement weather. They're out working and making things safe for us, and I just really appreciate all the work that you and your staff do, and I hope you can pass that on to the folks that you're working with, just how deeply they are appreciated.
I will, and we thank you for that, because that goes a long ways to them. When they're out there, when it's 20 degrees, and everybody else is at home warm, just a thank you goes a long way, so we appreciate that.
Danny?
Yes, sir. When you say the new Salina Clinic, concept design and space programming, have you got an estimate of when they might break ground and we can?
Not yet.
Not yet, huh?
Yeah, literally, space programming's going to all the different departments, trying to find their needs, square footage, size, offices, different things like that. So, not yet. And when we do get a tentative groundbreaking on stuff, I'll try to get it in here in time. It's hard to go, because this is a month ago, and it's hard for me. Sometimes I get excited about things and put it in, and shoot, that's next month. So, but yeah.
And I also noticed the Early Childhood Center and Head Start in the industrial area in District 15 of Mays County.
Oh, yes, sir.
Is that anywhere off the ground, or is it still in the middle of
No,
everything?
we still have a few issues working through, but the design's real close. I mean, we're right at 100% on the design. There's just, but we gotta wait on some, approvals. And then, there was, gosh, I can't remember, there's something else we were waiting on, design for the road extension part of it that we gotta do. Yeah, but as soon as we get the approvals, we'll be able to get this one out pretty quick.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for David?
No.
Theo?
Ain't by chance that old big tank floated in for the meat processing, has it?
It's coming in. It should be here, towards the end of the week, I think, unless something comes up. They're hoping to have that thing installed, everything completed by the end of the month, if, everything goes good.
That'd be awesome.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Any other questions for David? Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Y'all
Appreciate
have a
it.
great afternoon.
Next up will be Real Estate Services, Ms. Ginger Reeves.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to
Afternoon.
see you in person. I believe you have my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Any questions for Ginger?
Ginger, that's probably not your department, but you can guide me where would a person get like the geodata, like to see how many tribal members lived? Would that be through the?
The next, Chad Harsha can help you.
Oh, okay.
Secretary Harsha, he can help you.
Okay,
And
all right, I
believe
didn't know.
that falls under him, yes.
All right, thank you.
We do work with them a lot, but you could ask him.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ginger?
Yeah, hey. Hey, are you gonna stay for this whole thing, you leaving after you're done? Because if you are, I'll get with you here shortly.
Then I'll stay for the whole thing.
Okay, all right, thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ginger. Next up, Secretary of Natural Resources and Environmental Programs, Mr. Chad Harshall.
Good afternoon. I think you have a copy of the Environmental Programs Report if there's any questions on that before I go into some other updates.
Any questions on environmental? Jump right on.
All right, a couple of updates on some of the projects that we've been working on. Try to update every month on electric vehicles, but first, update on our seed bank. You saw probably over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, the online portal open for folks to select their seeds from their heirloom garden. As of right now, we had about 5,000 orders, and that the time for ordering has since closed. We've reached the capacity of what we had, and we've mailed out about 1,000 of those packages, with the remaining to come out over the next couple of weeks, hopefully by the end of this month. We were able to move through about 200 to 300 a day, but it's quite a task to package together the totality of what we send out with information on the seeds and the garden, the history, along with people's individual selections. As far as electric vehicles, we have 2 solar canopy projects underway. One is in Veneta at the Welcome Center, which is along the I-44 Route 66 corridor. We have construction, like I said, has already started on that. We have between 4 to 6 light-duty charging stations and 1 heavy-duty charging station. And then we have a second canopy. And again, these are similar to what we have out in front of the complex, but they might be just a little smaller. We have another canopy being under final development for the Hard Rock, similar size of 4 to 6 with 1 heavy duty. And then we have a final design planning for equipment replacement at Will Rogers Downs. We're looking at replacing 3 water trucks with electric, 1 box truck, and potentially a dump truck. For that project alone is going to be about $3 million investment. I've mentioned in the past that we've received up to $8 million of grant funding from a number of sources, but primarily the Volkswagen Mitigation Trust. And under that program, we are allowed to deploy money, but it's based in different buckets, right? We can't just go out and buy electric vehicles, and we can't just go out and build solar canopies, but the focus is heavily on replacing heavy-duty equipment, like semi-trailers and things of that nature. We don't have a whole lot of that on the government side that would be eligible for replacement, so we've been working with CMB to identify areas of need, and Will Rogers Downs has been a good candidate. So our goal is to hopefully electrify all of their operations with some of the money that we have available, while also keeping an eye on additional funding down the road. One other update is in April, I anticipate releasing more details about our environmental festival that we do for public schools throughout the reservation, and then also a couple other events, the annual tree giveaway, and then e-waste collection. So those dates should be coming out between now and perhaps our next Resources Committee meeting, and should have that come into focus between now and then. As far as our wildlife program, I try to update every month. We've had a lot of changes over the past 6 months, and code changes, particularly at the end of this last year. We continue to evaluate and work our planning as we move into the spring, and then also coordinate with some of the other 5 tribes on areas of mutual interest. So it's been a little bit quiet over the last 30 days, but the work is still ongoing, both on our programmatic issues and also areas of cooperations with other tribes. That's all I have in terms of updates on those projects. If there's any questions or...
Any questions for Chad? Julia?
Hi, Chad. This is probably more in CNB's wheelhouse than yours, but I just wondered if you had any insights into what we may be doing in terms of renewables, renewable energies.
Yeah, I don't know right off the top of my head. I know that there's a lot of funding that has been made available under the infrastructure bill. I think it's still somewhat early to see how that funding is going to hit, because they're still working on developing regulations that aren't, as far as I understand, aren't even out for public comment. But I know there's a lot of money in renewables, particularly on hydrogen and solar. There's a lot of opportunity in the future, but I don't think that's came into focus just yet.
Okay. And again, this may be in the Attorney General's wheelhouse, but I recall, I think, that Oklahoma, the state, had sort of prohibited solar or solar development or something like that. Can you update me on what that may be, and if there's any opportunity to create regs that would be different because of McGirt?
In terms of prohibiting solar, I don't know that the state of Oklahoma has taken that broad of approach, but what they have done through regulatory process and legislative acts have kind of made a difficult environment for what they call the net metering part of it. So whenever you connect solar, say, to your house, or you connect solar to a corporation, there's a net metering process whereby the energy that you create goes into almost like a bank account, where you bank it during the summer, or you bank it during seasons of high, a lot of sun output, and you can carry it over for a period of time. In Oklahoma, there's only 3 primary regulated utilities, the large ones like OG&E, O&G, and they have a little bit of more room, but some of the smaller utilities, they do the bare minimum, which is 1 month, so you carry it for 30 days, which makes solar more complicated on a residential aspect, because you generate a lot more in the summer than you would in the winter, so you wouldn't build necessarily to what you could to help offset those costs over the course of a year. So it is somewhat of a difficult equation here as compared to a lot of other states. And as far as the larger scale projects, there's, you get into purchase power agreements and tie-ins through the Southwest Power Pool, and it's a lot more complicated, and those are not as common as you would find. But you do see, we have seen a lot of wind development in Oklahoma. I think it's somewhere, it's a pretty large fraction of energy that's produced in the state, but that was based on a lot of tax incentives that have since expired.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Eddie?
Mr. Harshit, with the new, the state government handling the medical marijuana growth, I know the tribe kind of just took in what they did on the reservation since McGurk. Is there going to be things that we're going to have to step in as they continue on the regulations on this, or will it just be all taken care of by the state?
You know, the medical marijuana issue is a complicated one. I mean, in our code, I believe we've already decriminalized and adopted the state adjacent regulations. But, you know, there's a lot of studies that are going into right now to understand the total impact of the large-scale production. And I think there's a lot of areas of uncertainty right now all around that whole regulatory climate. I know that the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Association has looked at issuing additional regulations, and every year this comes up for the state during their, you know, current legislative session. And I think there's a number of bills right now that are circulating, but I can't speak to them directly.
Sean?
Yeah. Jed, it kind of reminded me, so right now, the nation, we're still hands off of that stuff, looking into it, getting information, but, you know, we talked earlier on, a year or two back, about hemp and different things. Right now, we're not dabbling in that at all yet, right?
Well, there's still the complicated factor of, and this is not common to just the state of Oklahoma, but Indian tribes across the country, where on tribal trust and restricted property, you know, it's still illegal under federal law. Even though the state of Oklahoma and a number of other states have legalized it for various reasons, whether it be medical, whether it be recreational, it still doesn't change the unique land status that applies, like, for example, individual restricted property and things of that nature. So it's still a pretty complicated jurisdictional issue when it comes to limitations that are currently exist in federal law.
Okay, but is the nation doing anything right now in hemp, or the?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so we're still kind of where we were when we were talking about it, right?
Correct.
There's got to be some kind of legislative act before we can get in there, right? Or
Well-
changing of something?
Well, with hemp's a little different, because under the Farm Bill that was passed some years ago, you know, it basically decriminalized that plant up to a certain level of content for, I think it's THC. The problem is that if you produce a crop that is above that, then it has to be destroyed. And in this part of the world, it can be difficult to, because of our climate, it can be difficult to produce hemp in a way that doesn't exceed that. At least that's what I've been told from some of the folks that I've talked to. And I think that with the legalization of medical marijuana, you know, I don't know, I think the CBD oil impact, or CBD oil market, which, you know, was one of the primary, one of the primary developed materials from hemp, has kind of taken a hit. So I don't know that, you know, I haven't reviewed the market analysis lately to see kind of what that means in the state. But it is something we're currently looking at.
Okay. And also, at Stillwell, the old Walmart building there, CMB has that, where we make the mask. There seems to be, is there a charging station right there?
Correct. That's one of our heavy-duty level 3 chargers that we use for
Our use, or is that
Cherokee Nation use. For
our use only?
Right, and that's the level 3 chargers. I mean, that's a heavy-duty infrastructure charger for the electric buses that we have at Sequoia and the transit buses that we have.
So we don't have any public ones?
There's some public ones right across the parking lot there that are operated by a third party, but those aren't owned by the Cherokee Nation, and but they are suitable for you know, individual use.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chad? You got a question? I think that's it, Chad. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry.
I know this old news and anything, but is anything going to change in the chicken houses regulations? Or is anybody doing anything on that, or are we just going with it?
There's every year there's legislative changes that are proposed to kind of limit both the proximity and environmental quality issues, and we always opine on and work through that legislation, but it never has ever made it out of committee over the past several years because of sensitivities with the state government. There is some litigation ongoing right now regarding water permits in terms of water quality that can be issued to these permits, but I think it's on its way to appeal, and there's no clear answer. And it seems like every time there's some amount of progress on one of those fronts, then there's quickly followed by regulatory or legislative changes. So.
You good, EO? Any other questions for Chad? Thank you, Chad. Appreciate you coming. Old business, none pending. New business, none pending. Any announcements? I need one more motion. All in favor? We are adjourned.